God forgives, I don't. I'm not referring to the movie that that one guy everyone likes. I forgot his name. It's beside the point. I'm coming from a place where that's kind of how I feel on the inside, and that's not necessarily something that I want to have in my life or that I know how to cope with or get over. They say that forgiveness is the most powerful thing, especially when you are able to forgive yourself for things that you have done, and when you're able to move on and forgive what, other people have done. I listened to a podcast recently, Lillian Garcia's podcast. She's a WWE ring announcer, and she interviewed a wrestler named Lacey Evans about her past and depression and stuff. And during the episode, they brought up another interview, and then they mentioned how that person got over their past trauma. They said they should not be the ones to pay for somebody else's sins. And that really struck home with me, because usually, like, when somebody has wronged me, it's really, really hard for me to let it go. There's very few instances I can think of where I just genuinely forgave somebody and moved on without having that wrongdoing in the back of my head somewhere. Again, I'm not saying this is anything right. It's just something that I go with. But when it comes to forgiveness, I'm just trying to figure out, what the fuck does that mean? And what does it look like practically? Besides, just forget about it. Just move on, take control of your life and, live in the moment. I know all of that shit, and I've tried, educating myself on it. I'm just well, how the fuck do you actually practice that as opposed to just, moving on? But sometimes God is the only one that can forgive, just like that goddamn Kesha song. But this is Coffee and Catastrophe with Brent and Gabi.
I think the movie you were thinking about was it Kill Bill?
No, it's called God Forgives, I Don't.
Oh.
But it's with the guy in La La Land.
Oh, Ryan Gosling?
Ryan Gosling.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's a smaller movie.
Okay. I was thinking about Kill Bill in the part where in Volume 1, she goes to kill Vivica Fox's character. I'm trying to remember. I think it's Vernon Mountain Snake, something that's her code name. And the bride tells her it's not logic I lack, it is mercy, compassion, and one other thing. And that's in all those revenge flicks that I love, it's Kill Bill, or I think there's the theme of revenge is really prominent in basically any Tarantino movie. But the idea that the character is there is no forgiveness for what you have done to me. And especially Kill Bill is such an amazing story of that. And it's one of my favorite movies. And I also struggle with what forgiveness is. And I recently bearing my soul in therapy, I was talking about that and how I feel there's been things that happened to me from family members, not physical or sexual abuse, but other things that were not okay. And I told my therapist, I don't want this person to suffer, but there's a part of me that wants this person to suffer because of what they did to me. And she was that's not you being masochistic. That's you wanting people to be held accountable. And I think one of the biggest things is getting to that space of forgiveness is really hard, because you have to acknowledge that that person is worthy of redemption, at least in your emotional self, in your heart, you are okay to forgive them, and you recognize that what they did was wrong, and that they can be maybe redeemed, or that you are going to at least unlatch yourself from the pain. And I did see a video there was some minister, I think she's a Presbyterian minister, and she's this woman, and she basically was saying that forgiveness allows you to literally unfetter yourself from the pain and from the asshole who did that to you, because once you're forgiven, you forgive them, you can walk away from it. But that's so much easier said than done. And I think where I really, really struggle to forgive is myself, because I'm very self-critical. When I'm not in touch with who I am, or if I'm not feeling good, instantly, I am telling myself that I'm a piece of shit, and I don't deserve forgiveness, or I don't deserve this or that. Forgiveness is fucking hard.
It is. And I still don't get the process. It's that one video on YouTube from a few years ago where Shia LaBeouf is saying this inspirational speech, but it's just him saying, just go do it! Just do it! And he's screaming, and I'm like, what do you mean by fucking do it?
Yeah.
Like,
no, because what are the steps? Like you said, what is the process? Like, you know, and it's hard because, like, literally, I'm sure if you ask somebody, what is the steps to forgiving? They'd be like, you just need to forgive. Like, but that seems so big. What the fuck do you mean?
You know, how do you forgive when you feel everything?
Yeah.
You know, and like that's like how you make sense of the world is how you interpret it for how you feel about it.
Well, and I will say that I think that like you cannot forgive until you're ready, right? Like you cannot let's say a really traumatic thing happened to you at the hands of another person. That is still fresh in you and will feel like a wound, and you know, you'll have PTSD symptoms. Like that could last. It's different for everybody. For one person, it could be a year. For another person, it could be 3 years. Maybe you're really like, this is like almost like akin to like death, but like how long does it take you to get to a space where you're like not on the verge of emotional collapse when like it gets brought up, or like you have that recognition of what happened? Like it's different for everybody, but at the same time, it's like, but then you might have people on the outside telling you like, you just need to forgive. And I told you about something that happened to me last week where a person that I thought was my friend did something to betray my trust and kind of show their true colors. And I realized that looking backwards, this person has always done things like this, or like done them in recent memory every time I've seen them. And like the people in my family who know this person, once I shared what happened, they were like, well, are you really just gonna like cut this person out because they were stupid one time? And I was like, yeah, I would feel unsafe if I just went on hanging out with this person after what they did and how they acted. So that just happened. Like, am I expected to just like fucking forgive them? Like, no, they broke my trust.
Yeah, it's one of those, it seems like with that type of forgiveness, they're the ones getting off the hook. And you're the one like, they've been feeling like unsettled.
If I were to just forgive them, they're not held accountable for their actions. And what's worse is like, I haven't had the guts, like I told you, to tell that person, like, please don't ever contact me again. I'm just literally gonna wait until that person tries to contact me and either ghost them or, I mean, I guess I could get the ovaries to be like, yo, when you did this, you crossed the line and I'm not cool with it and we're not talking anymore. I really don't have any purpose to be connected to this person anyway anymore, like beyond after what they did. So it's just kind of and once I realized that, I felt like really freed, which again, I had freedom and I didn't have to forgive. So maybe the source of freedom is not forgiveness in all scenarios.
Well, fuck, you should just forgive this person, because this person, you know, they just fucked up. A lot. Like every time they saw you. And then I just wasn't listening to myself. And I told you before we started recording, like right before we started recording, like I just had to be in the right phase of mind to be like, have some objectivity and distance to be like, wow, that was really fucked up behavior. I'm not going to engage with this person ever again. God damn. Some people are like able to just do it so easily, so much as they just hear an apology, like no matter how sincere it is or not. And I always envy those people because I still go to bed with the carnival in my mind playing at all hours of the night. You know, it's like
the song.
Yeah. I have an anxious existential werewolf inside my mind, where as soon as the moon comes out, then that's when the fucking thoughts come in. A lot of the times when I'm able to move, like there's some traumatic shit that I've experienced that I was like, I wasn't able to hold on to. Yeah. Because I was just able to like talk it out or just like make something creative of it. You know, I'm actually at the point now where I've moved past that story that I revealed on the regret episode to where I don't really think about that anymore. There's still little remnants of it, but like when I revealed that, it was ever present on my mind for like 13 fucking years. Yeah. But I realized it was time to let it go because I've changed so much as a person. So it's kind of like when you are living in a place and you're just like, okay, there's this one room I was not able to paint or clean. But then you move out and go to a new place, you know, and you're like in a new home. And it's just like, fuck, I never cleaned that room that I can never live in again.
Yeah.
You know, but it still feels dirty in your mind. And you're hyper vigilant on like your current rooms. Like, okay, so what do I got to do with this one? It's like, oh, that corner makes me feel like, you know, when I had that before, or like that's where we had the memories. It's very tricky, you know, and I'm always trying to figure shit out, you know, but then it sucks because it's just like, all right, I have made a lot of progress and change over the past few years. So now it's like, if I'm going to really get past all the other shit that's been going on in my life right now, do I have to dramatically change down the line as well?
Yeah.
And just kind of leave that, I hate to use the term, but to leave that cocoon or that skin behind, like that a snake sheds? Or do I have to really come to the realization where I'm just have to be like, you know, just fuck it and just really believe it and, you know, kind of be at peace with it? I don't know how to do it because, on an early episode, I mentioned that my family has Sicilian Alzheimer's. We only remember the grudges. So, and that's pretty much how it is. You know, that runs deep in all my family. I think my mom's the only person who doesn't really hold on to those grudges. Everybody else, like in my family, like that's it. Like that's our jam. So like my old man or my brother talk about that kind of feeling. I understand it. And I'm just like, fuck. Like, if they have it and they're older than me and they've had more life than me and they're still in that position, what the fuck do I got to do to move on?
I totally understand. And I was thinking about that image you used of, like, the snake shedding its skin. And if you think about it, like, when a snake sheds its skin, there's only so few things the snake can do to like, speed along the process. Like, it can like rub up against like branches or like rocks and like try to help the process, but really that skin gets shed in its own time. And maybe that's also like the thing about forgiveness is you can forgive at your own pace and within your own timing, but it's not to say that it isn't hard or difficult. And I think that like what you were illuminating is that not everyone forgives. And that people do hold on to burdens and grudges like that. And like I said burden because I think at a certain point, it is at a certain point more in emotional investment to not forgive. But at the same time, like no one has the right to really say like, you are being weighed down too much emotionally. You need to just let go of that. Like, I don't feel like that's necessarily the right approach to if you notice that like happening with somebody. But at the same time, like, forgiveness can, like, help you move on from the situation, but the easier thing and my go-to thing is to just, like, fucking move on. Don't forgive. I just, like, don't think about it ever again. And if it, like, does come up, I'm just like, yeah, I don't, like, talk to that person, or, like, oh, yeah, we don't hang out. It's a thing, or, like, whatever, and just, like, move on. But, like, yeah, maybe I'm hypocritical, though, because, like, I'm not forgiving. I'm not being the best me because I'm not forgiving, blah, blah, blah. Is there somebody in your life that has yet to forgive you over something that you've done? That's a good question. Where, like, you know that you have wronged. I'm not talking about maybe there's this feeling, but it's actually been on the table where they say, Gabi, you did this and it sucked and I'm trying to get over it. And it made you think, oh, shit. And then they were on the journey of like forgiving you. Like, is there any person like throughout your course of your life? Honestly, never. So I don't know what that says about me, or if I'm like willfully being ignorant of something, or like I've suppressed something. But no, like my whole family does like latch on to shit though. Like, and mostly my dad's side, but I think that there's elements of people latching on to shit on my mom's side too, where like they'll never forget this happened, or they'll like let the person back in, but they won't ever, forget what they did that one time. And like in my dad's family, it's a way of like power and control, is like when you are outside of one person's good graces, you're shut out of the family and you're disowned and all this bullshit. That is totally like a means of control and power that like my dad's side has used before. So, but I've never had that against me, but I really don't get to hang out with them like really ever. Yeah. What about you? Oh yeah, definitely.
The person I talked about on the regret episode, I still have no idea how they feel.
Yeah.
And the fact that I haven't heard a response perhaps speaks volumes to that. I don't know. There's been some friends, I'm close with. One in particular that, still on the path to forgiveness, just over some shit that went down maybe like 8 years ago. And, but it's nothing like, nothing traumatic, nothing like, I didn't like physically harm or take advantage. It's just, like who I was back in the day just did not mix well with, what I'm trying to do now. And it's just like, oh shit. And like there is a boundary now that is very visible and one that cannot be crossed. So I fucked up a lot in the past, but I think where my mindset is at least with those people who have forgiven me with shit, they've wanted peace, and I wish I can get to there because when it comes to like forgiveness on my end, I want justice first. Oh, and that's the pain part of it. You
want justice before you can have peace.
Yeah, my peace only comes after justice. Like the fact that like if I I could not intervene and would just have to hope karma takes its place. And then I hear of it like something bad happening or maybe they got theirs somehow down the line.
Yeah.
And I remember like years ago, I would actually, whenever that would happen, I would say, God damn. Well, I'll give you an example. When I grew up, there was this kid that bullied me for years. And I tried to reconnect with him like 10 years ago. And he was actually cool. And he was nice. And never gave me any reason to not want to be his friend. But deep down in the back of my mind, I remembered him as that kid that just bullied the fuck out of me. Oof. So then one night, we all hung out in a big group. So one night, we were all hanging out, and then he was having an argument with his girlfriend at the time, who we were also very close with. So we all left my friend's basement, and we met out in the front yard, and then they were going at it. So she said she was leaving him, and then he said, "What are you going to do? You going to hit me?" And she fucking hit him so hard in the it was like a knockout fucking punch
in the face.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And it was rocky shit. And,
oh my God.
And I saw this it was a few houses down because like she was walking away and then like he went to go pursue her. And then they were having a little exchange back and forth, and she wound back and completely fucking clobbered him in the face. And then afterwards threw his jacket in the muddy ditch. And then...
That's fucking awesome.
And she left. And then he came back into the driveway, and he was crying. And then...
Was there blood?
No, but he didn't stand a chance. Because she was all fucking like there was no if they ever got into a fight, she would have fucking killed him like easily. Like that's how it was. She's a gorgeous girl, but she also was like athletic and like you heard the echoes of this shit. So it was like a 10-year punch, and like the swing, it's still so vivid in my mind because it was in the summertime and at night, and the moonlight was bouncing off of their fucking silhouettes, and then I just heard. And then, like, we all went, oh, shit. And then he just came back, like, with his head between his legs, crying. And he's just like, oh, fuck my life, fuck my life. And then in the back of so what I did was I actually, like, comforted him. I actually put my hand on his back and I rubbed his back. And in the back of my mind, I said, the sword of God, blood of the Lamb, vengeance is mine. And that's what I used to say whenever karma would catch up to somebody.
What did you say?
The sword of God, blood of the Lamb, vengeance is mine.
Is that from a video game?
It's from a bit George Carlin did about, war and like Christianity and shit. I always latched onto that, and it just felt appropriate to say. And then most of the time, people who have wronged me have gotten theirs in some sort of karmic way.
Yeah, no, I think, I don't think I seek justice first as much as I think it's due sometimes. I don't think I seek it, but I will say when it does happen, I'm like, that's what you get, motherfucker. Like, I think the two people that have wronged me most, I really do forgive, and I hold them accountable, but I also, like, do see them as human, as, like, and like, infallible, and, like, or not infallible, I'm sorry, fallible, and, like, you know, they're capable of change, but also of, like, making mistakes, and, like, big fucking mistakes. So I kind of forgive them because of that. I will say, like, with the person who recently wronged me that I was talking about, and again, I'm being cagey about it because it's, like, it's still tender, and especially because that person has been given a privileged space in my life for so long, and even been a fixture in things that I have produced and created. Again, being mega fucking cagey about it. But the justice that I don't seek is already, like, there. So this person is lonely and miserable and sad and doesn't want to help themselves and considers themselves a victim. And that is justice in and of itself. Nothing else has to happen. That person is going to be sad for a very long time. And I am so grateful that their true colors came out, and I was finally wise enough to, everything was just, I get it now. Like, oh, you were, for lack of a better term, grooming and, like, trying to see how far you could get. And now you fucking really show me your true fucking colors. You know, I don't need anything bad to happen to that person because I already know that they're lonely and miserable and sad and will be for a very long time unless they get their shit together, which I think is unlikely because they don't think that there's a problem. So, and I am a little, I guess I'm maybe I'm a little sick because, like, I kind of, like, again, I'm like, good. If you're gonna fucking be this way, good. Suffer.
See, that is the fucking justice cupcake that tastes so good when you have it.
I feel like the Sith Lord, like, yes, let the hate flow through you. And that was a horrible Sith Lord, I'm sorry. But, like, yeah, like, and again, I don't hate this person, but I'm also like, that is your just desserts.
God, that's where the evil sets in.
That is where the evil sets in. And I know it's evil. And that's why I try to distance myself, but I'm not gonna lie, like, especially right now, I'm like, good for fucking you. And, like, oh, this is the part where forgiveness comes back to me. I need to forgive myself for allowing that person in for so long because I was in a space where I didn't know my worth. I didn't know my amazingness and, like, how much I am, like, great and that I didn't deserve someone's bullshit like that. And that I cannot blame myself, and instead I need to forgive myself for past decisions and choices and mistakes. Because that person totally wronged me when we had a deeper relationship. Now I feel like everyone listening is just gonna, like, fucking know who it is. But,
when you had a closer
relationship, when we had a deeper, closer relationship, that person burned me so fucking bad. And I was so weak and didn't know my worth. And I wish now, looking back, hindsight is always 2020. I wish now that I could go back to Gabi in 2016 and fucking shake her and be like, look what this person is doing. Do you feel the pain? You can't come back from this. Like, this person is showing you who they are. Their family is not going to change. Like, you need to get the fuck out and know your worth. And it was hard and it was difficult and I didn't. And I was in a vulnerable place and I wanted a support system. And this person was that. and I felt really alone in all my other relationships. So it makes sense why everything happened back then. But God, I wish I had I need to work on forgiving myself for not being wise to it. Because a part of me is like, oh my God, I wasted so much fucking time with that relationship. And I can't go there because it just feels like shit.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that sometimes? Like you need to forgive yourself for shit, but it's like literally I have it like, I feel like there's a fucking like stone sitting on my heart.
I used to turn that a lot more around myself over the years. And I know, like, recently I've been able to just say, okay, I know why I did that because I've been a lot more honest with myself and, like, my own feelings and actions and my reasons why I've done shit. And even though if it means revealing a very bad part of myself, I'm able to at least bring that to the forefront and extract all of the knowledge and wisdom and feeling and lessons from that. So I'm able to move on with the shit that I've done a lot easier because I'm able to make sense of it. When it comes to somebody else, it's one of those things where I can't easily make as much sense of why they did what they did because it's lost in my feeling of it. It's like whenever I have any feeling, I'm drunk with it immediately. I'm intoxicated. So it's kind of like it's like when I fucking hate somebody, man. You know what I'm saying? I just fucking hate it so much. Or if I'm like in love, I'm like, oh, damn it, you goddamn motherfucker. I love you so much. And when you're drunk on any of that feeling, every step you take, you think you're walking a straight line. When you're just
so true.
Fucking, but me, I'm wobbling all over the place. Like, I tell you right now, I'm drunk. That's right. That's me right now, motherfucker. Okay, I am drunk. I'm gonna walk this fucking line, and there's nothing you can do about it because you've hurt me so fucking bad. I'm just always like, I'm an alcoholic when it comes to like feeling shit.
That's exactly like, so like I had a really great week I was telling you about, but I had some really low moments, right? I told you I was like, I had a really bad instance where some like stuff resurfaced, some old feelings and shit that, you know, not that I'm trying to bury, but I'm trying to work through in therapy and eating disorder recovery. And it was like really fucking hard. And like, I totally had like moments where I was drunk on like victimhood and like feeling like shit and like not literally wanting to die, like not suicidal, but just being like, fuck, I can't hang with this fucking pain. Like, I'm so fucking done. And just being like sad and like, I don't think depressed is the right word, but just in like fucking misery and anguish and like drunk with misery and anguish. And in that moment, it feels like it doesn't feel great, but I also think that there are people who get off on sitting in misery. So maybe like there is some like positive experience with it, but mostly it's just like, fuck, like, but I think that's another instance of like feeling like drunk in that emotion and you think you're completely sensible, but you're not.
Yeah, because when you're drunk with, like when you're drunk, you think you're invincible. And when you're angry, like the ultimate paradox of anger is that you think you're right.
Yes.
And that's the thing is when you have that anger and when you have that malice, it turns to evil and that evil turns righteous. And there's nothing anybody can do that could make that go away. And you become comfortable with it. It becomes like a warm blanket.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so if I take off this blanket, I'm going to freeze to death. Like, how am I going to sleep at night if I don't have this fucking blanket? Even though this blanket is like hot as fuck.
Yeah.
But it's like, what's the trade-off? Is it either boiling or freezing? Like boiling your body in like the hot tub or freezing to death? You know, when you get out of it.
Yeah. What's better?
Yeah. You just got to keep like going up and down, like teabagging your whole body, like in that vicious cycle, man. But that evil's not a good thing, though.
No. It's not. It doesn't ever satisfy. It doesn't work like that. And it's hard because you like want it to. You want it to just be over and done with and just like, you know, but it's self-sabotage. Really, it is. Like, you know, if you get drunk on that, like, feeling, like, it's just gonna end up badly. You're gonna end up in a ditch somewhere. A proverbial emotional ditch. Yeah,
and your favorite jacket is gonna be there and muddied, and you're never gonna see that person again.
Where did she clock him? On his cheek? Like on it, like where his like cheekbone is?
Slapped him, slap. Like it was like a slap punch. It was a slap that was so hard it might as well have been a punch just on the fucking face. And like his whole body like moved in the direction at the same speed as her fucking hand.
That's so awesome.
Like more power to him for standing up, but I was waiting
and so
15 years for that.
And so he like was like they had a big blow up, and then so I'm understanding correctly, he was like pursuing her and said, "What are you gonna do? You're gonna hit me," and she did.
Yeah.
And then,
I think he actually antagonized her. He said, "Come on, hit me, hit me, hit me." And then like, he like got in her face and was saying it. So then she like the fucking like little kid in all those like movies, he just stands back with the karate move and she just fucking like just a fucking explosion.
It's like a David and Goliath like moment, or just like the little guy's there and just like fucking obliterates him.
Yeah. So I forgive him because I actually saw him in a state that he put me in. Yeah. And I think that's why I was able to move on. And there's been some other incidences like with people from my childhood. Like they made like bullies and shit like over the years. Like that's just it. They're completely fucked up. One guy is completely crazy now.
Oh, like
he went to the military and he's all fucked up and like almost schizophrenic.
Oh, that's very sad.
So it's like, it's
very sad.
That kind of sucks with not saying anything about soldiers in the military in general, but I don't know, the way I see it, if you make fun of me in 8th grade, for a little bit and you go to the military, I am totally glad you came back with PTSD.
Actually, okay, so this is again one of those like, I think maybe I've talked about this before on here. To be 1000% clear before I give this story, I'm very saddened by this person, like that what happened to this person, but it's this weird, like, it's one of those moments where you're like, I have to forgive this person because clearly there was so much shit going on internally that like no one knew. So there was this person at my high school, this girl who freshman and sophomore year would make fun of me because I was so emo, and she would ask if I cut myself and if I self-harmed, and like just ruthless making fun of me. And she was like a popular kid and kind of an athlete. And this same girl who would chastise me and ask me if I self-mutilated died by her own hands when we were in our early 20s. And like, it's this weirdness of like, the girl who was assuming that I cut myself committed suicide. Like, and it's this weird moment of like, at first, I think back then when we found out, because I was like 2021, I think it was 20. And then it was just like, what the fuck is this weird? Like, is this justice? Like, what is this karma? Like, what is this? But it's not. It's just like, wow, clear. I think that now looking back, I'm like, oh, she was probably crying out for help. And she didn't like, because I didn't cut, I just like shut her down and be like, stop talking to me. Like, you're such a jerk. Like, maybe she was like really crying out for help. Like, ugh. But it came out as bullying. I don't know. It's just a tricky, messed up fucking situation.
Well, I mean, I think that's the ultimate because that's it. There's no more, like the earth is done with them.
Well, and like, again, like I have no ill will against that girl because clearly there were other things going on and it was very upsetting. But again, when I was like 20, I was like, is this justice? Like, is this karma? Like, yeah. What is this? Like, the person who called me emo and bullied me relentlessly killed herself? Like, woo!
I know as people live on the show right now probably could not admit any sort of pleasure to be extracted from that, but there's probably people listening right now who would be like, all right, that's fine. Or like upon hearing that news of like their bully dying. Yeah. It's fucked up. Yeah. And it's not saying that you shouldn't have compassion for people who are suicidal, but that justice craving in me is like, all right, maybe the world has its way of working itself out. That's not a good thought.
I don't want to say that it was like justice because like clearly this girl had like mega issues, like, you know, and it's not to say that we all don't get to spaces in our lives where we just want to like die. You know what I mean? Like that's a very part of the human experience I've come to kind of accept. It's not to say you don't like seek help or ask somebody or tell somebody and like seek treatment or whatever, or like at least reassurance that like, you know, you're okay, or like, yeah, I don't even know how to describe that, but it was just like, yeah, it was this weird, again, it's that weird thing of like, is this justice? Should I be happy about this? Like, and of course, like the answer is no. Like, again, very deeply saddening thing when a young person takes their life.
Yeah, it's just, but that's like when you have such a craving for that justice and when you have such a craving or like that little touch of evil, what's really happening is you're driving down the street drunk at 90 miles an hour.
Yes.
And you're wishing that other people are stupid and get hurt.
You're only, like, to use that analogy that you just like drew, like you are only gonna hurt yourself in the end when you crave like the destruction of others as justice. And yeah. And like I think the biggest issue with forgiveness again for me is just like forgiving of the self, because I looked over at this book I have in the bookshelf and it says like still failing at fairness. It's about like equity and equality in education. And I was kind of thinking, like, is forgiveness always linked to failure? Like, if someone fails to uphold your standards, or if you fail to uphold your standards, is that always when forgiveness comes into play? Is it always failure? And then internally I was like, well, maybe it always has to do with betrayal. But, like, I don't think so either, because, like, one could argue that every betrayal is a failure to uphold expectations. So I guess I pose the question to you, is failure and forgiveness always linked?
I don't know. All I know is I can distinguish between magnitudes of betrayal and then just be really fucking annoyed with somebody, you know? So I'll give you an example. So at work, there's this one person I actually really had a hard time working with, just because of their attitude and like just the way that like they were treating pretty much everybody in the warehouse, and including myself. And I actually got to the point where I told this person like how I felt, and they apologized in the moment. And ever since then, they've actually been very pleasant to be around.
Wow.
And that like it, and like from everybody apparently. So I think that was a really
it only
good
took
moment.
You saying something,
but it wasn't like, you know, like, hey, fuck you. I didn't have that evil, even though I wanted that justice. But but then it came time for this person to move up in rank, and they got denied.
Really?
Because of their attitude.
Really? Like, they knew that you had had a conversation with this person?
No. Like nobody knew that I had this conversation with the person for this decision to be made. It's just that's how they were with everybody. And even management saw, like, all right, we're not going to give this person, you know, we're not going to move them up in rank. You know, we're going to pick other people because, you know, they've had the qualities that we're looking for, and with their attitude alone. Yeah. You know, then that's it. So they're a lot more humble now. So it's like, all right, it's weird because this is a person I've actually dreaded seeing at work for a long time, but now it's weird. I forgive them, but it's not because I was really annoyed with this person and they were able to really correct the problem, and that's totally fine. But then there's another magnitude where people have betrayed my trust because I've put them up on a pedestal of not being perfect, but being the person that I thought could never hurt me. And then, you know, when they do, it's just like, who the fuck is this person?
Yeah, you're devastated.
Yeah. And I'm in a situation now where that particular person has just been on my mind almost every single day. And it's hard to let go because there's no way for justice and patience don't mix. Metaphorically or even in the world, like even like when it comes to court cases and all that bullshit, justice and patience don't fucking go hand in hand.
Well, and when you say that, you mean that just because you're patient doesn't mean justice will be served. That's what you mean, right?
Yeah, and when you're trying to be patient, waiting for justice, you become impatient.
Yes.
And, just like as if you're waiting, if you're trying to be patient, like
if you're waiting, you can't be patient.
Yeah.
Right?
And like you feel like you're doing yourself an injustice if you're being patient. But if you want justice, you become impatient.
Yeah, totally.
It's this weird paradox. So
totally.
But it harkens back to I'm not a complete person yet, or at least the person I want to be. I acknowledge that these are some bad thoughts and not good characteristics that I possess. And it's still something that I'm working out on. So with that knowledge and self-reflection, it's like, okay, how do I take this knowledge and get rid of and alleviate the feeling? And I'm still not at that place. I hear sentences, like on that podcast where they say you should not be able to pay for somebody else's sins. And then the way I took that was as if I make money and they have a gambling issue and they're in debt. So I'm paying all of my income to their shit.
Yeah.
And then I'm left with nothing.
Yeah. And they're not really cured of their addiction or their gambling problem.
Yeah. So it's like,
because you paid for it.
So because I'm depleting myself of my income, I'm trying to like have a savings, like a nice little leg to stand on. But I'm just counting on the fact that one day they'll be broke.
Yeah.
But, sometimes it just takes 15 years and a nice whack in the face from a woman to really set them straight. Sometimes they never meet it, or sometimes they lose everything. And then sometimes they completely change. But it's really hard for me because I don't know. I'm very expressive and creative with like how I do shit. And I've yet to express the shit that I still hold on to in a healthy way yet and extract all of that wisdom from the conflict.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those feelings where it's now part of my routine. Like every night I go to bed, it's the first thing in my mind. And I wake up and there's like 5 minutes where I'm disoriented and I'm looking at the clock with that blurry sleep shit on your eyes.
Yeah.
When you wake up and, I'm rubbing my eyes and I'm looking and then like, I'm like, oh, fuck, this sleep position feels so good, but I have to wake up. And then I put my head back down on the pillow. And there's just that 5 minutes of pure bliss. And then the fucking carnival starts again. And I'm like, fuck, I have to get out of bed and start my day. It's not a nice way to live. It really isn't.
No. One thing I was considering is that, like, forgiveness is really important for, like, children and adolescents. Not only to like learn, but like especially as a teacher, I'm continuously reminded of the fact that like even though I work with teenagers, they are really like adolescents. Like they are not, even when they turn 18, this is still a kid. Like they're going to make a mistake, be it cheating on a test, lying to me, I'm talking like intentional things, not like example, like a kid can't do their homework because they have to take care of their siblings or they have a job and they can't get to their work. Like I'm talking like intentional things, like kids are gonna fuck up and it's really important or they're going to say something wrong or they're going to explode at you one day. And it's not every kid, but, to be that person to model for them, like as an adult, like I recognize your humanity. I recognize that you are still growing and learning and I'm going to forgive you. Now, that doesn't mean that your actions don't have consequences because sometimes it depends on the case, right? So I have had instances of kids cheating, and so it becomes this thing of like, well, I'm going to have to hold you accountable, but I forgive you and I know you're better than this. Like, you know what I mean? So it's really important because I think the issue comes in when you don't have that forgiveness, then the student or the child begins to believe that forgiveness is like, it's like, again, it's going back to that grudge thing. Like it's a way to hold power over somebody is to say like, no, I'm not going to forgive you. And I do understand that feeling because like, again, with this person that just betrayed me, disappointed me like utterly, I really feel like, fuck, I don't even know how to fucking say it. I kind of do feel powerful that I'm not forgiving this person. And I probably just should, like internally, I think internally, again, I feel betrayed, But internally, I also know, again, this person's like really miserable and sad, and that's their just desserts. And I don't have to wish any more ill will upon them or what's going to happen to them because it's already being served to them in spades. But I do feel kind of like I hold the power because I'm like, no, like you have broken my trust. You've broken our relationship. Like, I'm not letting you have that back, which does make me feel like powerful. It also doesn't make me feel powerful because I think sometimes the people who are friends are all too quick to not to forgive and just like write it off. So for example, I haven't told like this person, I have like a couple really good mutual friends, and I haven't told them what happened. And I feel like if I do say something, my biggest fear is that the mutual friends, will look to me and say, you need to just forgive them because they're stupid. They didn't know what they were doing. They, this gender is stupid, blah, blah, blah. And like, just make a bunch of fucking excuses. But forgiveness isn't theirs to give because they didn't experience it.
Yeah, it's kind of like, at least the way I see it is kind of like it's like they want to move on and they feel remorseful, but they don't feel the pain I felt. So I feel if I don't forgive them, they're at least able to feel the pain that they caused me. Yeah. And it's just like, fuck, that's bad.
It's like, and again, like, I think that ultimately, like, if you can get to a space where, like, you recognize that, like, that person is already, like, experiencing shit and that you don't have to wish any more upon them, I think you can be in a good place. If you can't get to that place, it's a little rough.
Yeah. And because then what happens is you've swam so far away from the shore that you're just like, all right, I'm just going to keep fucking swimming. Like, there's no sand at your feet. You don't know how deep you're in. And everywhere you turn on the horizon, there's just fucking endless blue. And the sun is setting. Yeah. And it's fucking feeding time from what's underneath your feet.
1,000%. Feeding time's a very good way to describe it.
Yeah. Jesus Christ and a cracker, man.
Yeah, Jesus suffering on the cross. That's my new favorite swear. I think I talked about that last time.
Yeah, but I don't know. See, I don't know what the next step is. I think the next step, because I'm just waiting to have that aha moment, that moment of clarity to where it all makes sense and I could finally be that person I want to be and not be like phased or touched by that shit. Or if I am, I'm able to like handle it more amicably as opposed to just kind of, like holding on to that fucking golden treasure. That's just obviously like taking everything away from, it's affecting my fucking sleep. And my sleep's affecting my health, and my health's affecting my performance, like everything.
It's very much a Gollum in the Ring situation. Yeah. You're holding on to your precious, but it's like making you die and become this weird creature thing.
Yeah.
And like, it's really fucking hard. And like, but I told you earlier today, like when we were talking about, like, I think that one thing that I recently did was like looking back and recognizing the mistakes or the failures or the bad shit and like what you could learn from it, or like how can you make that situation and chalk it up to like a learning experience? And like I don't think every like trauma or bad thing in your life is a learning experience. Because again, like my fear is that like a person who like say has been like sexually assaulted or raped, I don't think it's fair to look at them and say like, yeah, but what did you learn from that? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? But you can use myself as an example. I told you that I really had this moment of clarity where I realized that like, not to justify the pain and my suffering, but that my eating disorder, I think, was like the long ass roundabout way to learn how to love myself and my body and nourish myself and care for myself. And I feel powerful recognizing that this experience as that, because it doesn't have control over me anymore. I found meaning within the suffering and I'm moving on.
Yeah. I wish I can get there.
I think you can. It just takes time and work.
I've become impatient over change and justice. But
that's a very Batman thing to say.
Yeah. Honestly, like if I got a text today saying that they got their due, I would just be like, great. Now what do I do?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and that's the other thing is like when it happens, like when the justice happens, so it probably feels good for like 20 seconds and then like, well, now what?
Yeah.
Like, it's very fleeting. Like, you don't, like, then go out and take yourself out for an ice cream cone because, like, they got their just desserts. I mean, maybe you do, but that ice cream lasts for 10 minutes. Like,
it's so good, man, especially when it's a peanut butter parfait from DQ in the summertime.
What is that?
Okay, it's ice cream. It's vanilla ice cream.
Okay.
And then they put some, like, chocolate syrup.
Okay.
And then they put peanuts. Vanilla ice cream, chocolate, peanuts. Vanilla ice cream, chocolate, peanuts. Triple layered in a cup. And you have it with a spoon.
Damn.
It's really fucking good.
See, I was not a DQ person. I was a Tasty Freeze person because that's what was in our hometown. And that's like, there's like none of them. Like, they don't exist really anymore. There is one in like, I think like Humboldt Park in Chicago. But so like, just like a regular twist cone with sprinkles if I'm feeling frisky. Oh, delicious.
Tastes so good. And it's just an impulsive little treat and you're just fucking eating it. Be like, and you just swallow that shit and you're just like, now I have to shit that out. Or go to bed and it's like I'm sleeping on my stomach and it's just moving through the tracks.
You know, that is one thing is like I have had experiences recently where my eyes are bigger than my stomach and I'm like get like a third of the way in and then I'm like, I need to fucking stop. Like I'm gonna explode and like but with like a sundae, like what, you're gonna throw in the fucking freezer? It's gonna taste like shit afterwards. So do you power through it? No, don't power through it. You just throw it away and just trust that you can buy another sundae when you're ready.
No, me, like I was out with a friend the other day and I had a giant Jersey Mike's sub and I just downed the whole fucking thing in one sitting and I wanted a cookie afterwards. And then I went to the cashier to go buy it and the guy was just like, you just take it. And actually he gave me a free cookie. And
that's nice.
And then I ate the cookie and it was just like great afterwards. So when it comes to revenge and justice, I just want the fucking cookie because I've eaten all the shit and I just want them to throw me the cookie. But the cookie is a metaphor for their pain and suffering.
Yeah, and then ultimately you have to shit out that cookie.
Yeah.
And your digestive tract doesn't like the cookie.
See, what sucks is that like when I have heard people, you know, if they're like pain and misery in the past, it has made me feel better, which is fucking weird.
Wait, you feel better when you hear about others' pain and misery?
Yeah, like if they've wronged me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, not just like in general.
I
like,
thought in general, like when someone tells you like bad things, you're like, yes.
It's not like I'm like watching like the news and like there was another school shooting today and I'm like, excellent. Like no.
I was like for a second, I was like, what do you mean?
No, that's scary.
I just really get off on school children being killed.
Yeah, but like other than that, like it's weird. I seek more justice for, you know, whoever's harmed me personally than who, you know, is done injustice like in the world and hasn't affected me directly. And it's just like, it's so personal and it's such a vendetta to have against them. But just trying to figure it out. I think what will help is if I just have a little vacation for myself to let my my thoughts catch up to my life and just really because I have all that shit in there and it's just a big mix of like soup and I have to like just bob for the only apple that's in there. You know, and try to pull that out. I'm like, you know, I'm ready to just let this shit go. I need to, because here's what I'm doing in my life. Here's my journey. Here's my path. I can't be, you know, paying over all this income to their bullshit. You know, I got to start saving for myself because, you know, what am I going to do? Like, oh yeah, Brent, what was it like in your 30s? Oh, I just fucking went to bed, just hoping people would get fucked up. Really? Like, how is that, like, not fun?
I went to bed every night wishing pain and suffering upon other people. Like, no, that's not a happy existence.
No.
Like, if you go home and you pray every night before you go to bed, but who goes home and prays at night? Jesus Christ. But, a
lot of people.
Oh, well, they're too pure for this world. But, like, you know, who goes home and, like, prays for pain and suffering at night? Like, no.
Oh, that's me. Like, dear sweet baby Jesus.
Please allow the following people to burn.
Yeah, and here are the reasons they have affected me in a negative way.
And it goes down to like September 29th, 3:45 p.m.
And then like even
so-and-so did this.
And then God, like he just like knocks on the door. He's like, and I'm like, yeah, who's that? And then I open the door. I'm like, oh my God, it's Jesus. He's like, hey, look, I usually don't do this, man. No one's gonna believe you anyway. But
I love that.
but bro, look, I had this shit beaten out of me by my best friends, and one of them betrayed the fuck out of me. And you know what I did? I carried my cross up the hill, and I just finished the beating, and I came back to life. And now you eat your little chocolate eggs because of that. So, but you got to do the same thing. You got to find a way to carry your cross instead of just fucking, you're not being Jesus right now, man. You're being a Judas, because all you want to do is just see the shit get beat out of you, or see the shit get beat out of somebody else. But you're the one trying to be the savior. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Jesus, why are you swearing? I said no one's going to fucking believe you, pal. So, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not Jesus, that's Bill Murray.
I was going to ask, does Jesus then ascend into the sky after knocking on your door? Or like, how does he leave? Or does he just walk away?
He just pulls away in his SUV and he just like...
Jesus has an SUV?
Well, that's why. Like, no one would believe if I said, okay, like, even if I said, yeah, Jesus came and knocked on my door and I talked to him, oh my God. And then I say, yeah, he drove away in an SUV. Even, like, the most gullible people would be like, you're full of shit.
Well, yeah, because if Jesus was going to drive a car, he'd have, like, a shitty, like, 1980s, like, whatever. Or to really fuck with you, he'd be in a, like, a DeLorean. You know what I mean?
I think he'd have a bicycle with a little, like, ding-ding
like
thing.
A ding-ding.
So he could say hi to the geese.
And then it's like he gets to the end of the block and he does, like, an E.T. and he just, like, floats into the fucking sky.
Yeah, and then, like, there's people on the street like, oh, I saw Jesus fly into the sky. Like, yeah, right.
Fuck you.
So, yeah, bullshit.
That's like such Chicagoans is like, I saw Jesus fly in the sky. Sure you did, asshole.
See, listen to me, folks. Okay, the American government does not want you to know this. Jesus is actually here and he's flying away as we speak right now on the bicycles. He doesn't want anybody to know, especially that Donald Trump fellow and that George W. Bush.
Are you being... I thought you were being Trump. Is that Alex Jones?
I'm trying. Yeah, it's not really good. But listen to me, folks. Go to Infowars.com. You will see pure testimony. Deplatform. You will see pure testimony where I saw Jesus Christ.
Censorship. Deplatform.
But with Jesus Christ right now, what he doesn't... I actually spoke to him in person. He's actually a really good fella.
You need to be like more, like you need to be more gruff and like say shit like they're putting chemicals in water to turn the freaking frogs gay. You understand that? That was a very bad Alex Jones. I apologize.
I'm working on it. I don't know. I'm working on a lot of voices.
Here. I forgive you.
Fuck! I didn't even know I affected you in that way. Damn, you're a very vengeful person where you are holding shade to me for just doing an impression the wrong way. Fuck, I don't want to be like that. Holy shit, that was it. I just needed to see that in somebody else.
Are you cured? Did we just, like, actually do something?
No.
Oh, fuck.
No. But that's the thing. I haven't seen anybody who's outside of my family who's hold on to this shit, because everybody else I know is like, yeah, it's cool now. And I'm like, how? How do you do that?
I think you just got to get to a space where you are okay. Like, it's not a how. It's like the powers inside of you all along. Very like Glinda or Glinda? Who's the fucking good witch from Wizard of Oz?
I think it's Glinda.
Glinda?
I think so. I'm guessing, but yeah.
Okay, let's say her name's Glinda. Because I don't fucking know. I've actually never seen that movie in its entirety. Or if I have, I don't remember. But anyway, so like Good Witch goes up to Dorothy and is like, homegirl, you had the power all along, right? So like you have the power to forgive. It's within you. You just need to get to a space where you can access it. How you do that, fuck if I know. For me, I think I just get to a space of apathy, which is probably not healthy either. But I'm also not the epitome of health. So I'm literally the little emoticon, like the shruggy guy. Like, I'm literally doing that right now for everyone listening. You just imagine Gabby like...
So I just read a new report, folks. Glinda the Good Witch is actually in the cell phone towers trying to control your mind with goodness. Go to Infowars.com.
Stop.
At the full article.
Stop plugging. Stop plugging.
With Jesus
Infowars.
Christ.
Stop plugging. Infowars. Before we leave this lovely conversation, you know... Whatever happened to Raptor Jesus? Can we bring that meme back?
Raptor Jesus.
Stop. You don't remember on the MySpace days there was the Raptor Jesus? It was Jesus with a photoshopped Velociraptor head. And it was like, Rah! That's my Velociraptor impersonation. Because again, we know what they sounded like.
So here's another thing. I have a full report that because I'm thinking about revenge so much every night, I'm actually forgetting about all the more innocent days of Raptor Jesus. Folks, listen to me right now. Go read this report, coffeeandcatastrophe.com, and you'll see it right there, folks.
Coffee and Catastrophe. Now guest episodes by Alex Jones. Yeah, no, first off, I would leave. It would then have to be Coffee and Catastrophe with Stephanie for real.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's,
See, what you don't understand, Brent, is that this has been a whole conspiracy against you the whole time, just so you can get your shit together and have a decent life, but you're just too busy holding on to it, folks. Why are you calling me folks? I don't know, folks. I'm just saying.
He does say folks a lot. Alex Jones. I think I told you this, that like we were learning about in my media literacy class, like censorship. And so we talked about like Alex Jones and like, was it right that he was deplatformed? And like, we had like a good like discussion debate about it. And, but like, because he's been deplatformed, there's really no video. First off, I didn't want to show videos of him talking, but what I did want to show them was like the remixes of like the Bon Iver cover of his rants, or like that remix of when he says they're putting chemicals in the water and turn the freaking frogs gay. So like, I like prefaced it with like, kids, he's been deplatformed and I just want you to get a taste. This is a remix. It's funny, but like, this is really what this man believes. And the kids were just like dying laughing. And then one of them sent me the video of, have you seen that video where Alex Jones is like running after people in like downtown like Houston or Dallas? No. It's so fucking like someone, if I'm remembering correctly, there's like a person, like he is like, you know, with his InfoWars camera and he's got a microphone, he's like talking to him, and across the street there's this guy like taunting him, like yelling at him, and at one point Alex Jones just like fucking like runs after the guy. It's so horrible. Okay.
That brings up another really quick point to end on this, is that I think within our culture, as of right now, there seems to be an issue in terms of forgiving celebrities in this thing.
Yeah, it brings it back to redemption.
But I've really noticed that it's not necessarily about how we're going after the people who've done us wrong, or in this case, how bad the celebrities are. It's not how bad they are, it's how good we are. And that's the wrong mentality to have, you know, when it comes, because it's about, when you point out some, like the wrongdoings that somebody else has, you're not really saying, oh, they did a bad thing. You're saying, I would never do such a thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the mindset I have when it comes to the people who have wronged me, because it's more this like deep-seated feeling where I'm saying like, yeah, I'm a better person than you because you've done this horrible thing and I haven't. And I'm just like, fuck, that's not a good realization to have or deal with. But I noticed, like, if it really was, like, what they did, I think, like, the bad things they did, I would be able to just move on a lot quicker.
Yeah.
But the fact that I had a, you know, play in it, I'm just kind of turning that in on myself, and I'm the one that's really becoming the villain. So it's really hard to just, you know, go to bed with that at night. But trust me, folks, one day you're going to have it coming to you. And George W. Bush is going to crash into your backyard, and he's just going to take all your crops, and he's going to take a big shit on your backyard lawn. And there's nothing that you can do about it. So just go right now, read the full report for yourself, folks. That's all I really have to say about that.
Yeah, no, I think that forgiveness now, especially in like the age of like realizing that like celebrities can be pieces of shit too. I think that like redemption and forgiveness is possible, but not for everybody. And I also feel like, again, it has to be in due time. And there's no one process for forgiveness and redemption. Like there never is. Like there's maybe like common like facets or like things that have to happen, but it never happens in the same order. Yeah. So this has been a really emotional talk for me. And I'm sorry if I made anyone uncomfortable, but it's just like, yeah, dude, there was some volatile shit that had to deal with forgiveness this week.
Yeah, because this is a topic that I wasn't originally going to talk about. I actually wanted to talk about a much happier topic, but then I texted you. I'm like, hey, let's talk about this. You said, yeah, but that was just what I was feeling, and it's been something I've been struggling with. So I'm not trying to come at it with this being something in the rearview mirror, because if I were to do that, it's like, oh, I'm not that person anymore. anymore. I'm this person now. But
Yeah, totally.
I wanted to be more honest because I'm like in the fucking hole right now experiencing this. So I want to be able to look back on this and say, wow, what the fuck was that guy talking about? But but that's just like, it's not right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying any of that shit. All I'm saying is that this is what I'm going through right now, and it's fucking hard.
And that's really what our podcast is about. Thank you guys for listening. This has been Coffee and Catastrophe with Brent and Gabi. Our website is coffeeandcatastrophe.com. Our Facebook is at Coffee and Catastrophe. You can follow us on Twitter at CCWBG. Subscribe, like, comment, review. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, CastBox. Until the next time, guys, try to forgive yourselves. If you're ready, try to forgive others. And don't forget to take care and be good to each other.
Goodbye now, everybody, folks.
Jesus Christ.